All right. So the beginning, starting from the beginning, that is peace chant, right? Every Upanishad has a peace chant. So the peace chant for this Upanishad is Bhadram Karnebhi, which we learned when we were studying Narada Bhakti Sutras. When we are studying Narada Bhakti Sutras, we learned chanting of six peace chants. Among one of them is this one, which is the peace chant for Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, so I am sharing with you the screen. First, we shall look at the English translation. Then we shall, assuming that we have forgotten how to chant, and also assuming there are some new people, we shall try to learn the peace chant, because this peace chant will be constant in all of our classes on Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, the meaning is this: Om, may we hear auspicious words with the ears. May we see auspicious things with the eyes. While praising the gods with steady limbs, may we enjoy a life that is beneficial to all. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. So, and here is the chant. If you look on the screen, you will see some of the letters are in orange color. I have colored them. I have chosen that font to draw our attention that in these sounds, there are variation of tones, tones, notes, not tones, notes. I should say notes. So Vedic chanting has three notes, which is the basis of Indian classical music, which forms the basis of Indian classical music. One is the common or the general note. Another, if you look at it, for example, the A, the underscore, that means it will be one note down, one note down. And if you look at the word E in the first line, you'll see here is a perpendicular sign. That means one note higher, one note higher. Is it visible to all, or should I um, enlarge it? Okay, let me enlarge it. Okay, for example, Om Bhadram Karnebhi. This is how it sounds. Karnebhi. And we were taught, when we were taught the chanting, to use our finger to help us in modulating our note. Okay, for example, if we keep our finger like this, Om Bhadram Karnebhi. So, with the up and down of the finger, my voice is also trying to go one note higher, one note lower. There is a correspondence. You will see that singers very often use their fingers or hands to modulate their voice. So that we can do while learning to. After some time, you won't require it. So one is the usual note, bhad, ram, then one is lower note, and another is higher note. This gives this beautiful, this sonorous tone of the hymns. And here, in some places, you will find two perpendicular signs. That means it is higher note but stay one moment longer. For example, Thirai rangai e, thirai rangai e. Okay, it is called matra. Matra means the syllable. So we stay one moment longer if we see there are two perpendicular signs. So it is one note higher for sure, but keep that higher note one moment longer. All right. This is the science of chanting. Okay. So what we shall do today, line by line, call and response first, then together. Okay. All right. Om Bhadram Karnevih. Om Bhadram Karnevih. Shrunuyama Devaha. Shrunuyama Devaha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha. Let's do it again. Bhadram Pashe Maksha. Bhirya Jatraha. Bhirya Jatraha. Thirai Rangai. Thirai Rangai. Stuštuvagam. Stuštuvagam. Sastanubhihi. Sastanubhihi. Vyashema Devahitam. Vyashema Devahitam. Once more. Vyashema Devahitam. Vyashema Devahitam. Yadayuhu. Yadayuhu. Om Shantihi. 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 Om Shantihi. 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 Okay, so let's try to do it together, okay? And it will get easier as we keep on doing it. So don't try to be so much specific about being correct. Just try to do as it comes. Okay, with time, we shall gain mastery for it. All right. Om Bhadram Karnevih. Shrunama Devaha. Bhadram Pashe Maksha. Bhirya Jatraha. Sthirai Rangai. Stuštuvagam. Sastanubhihi. Sastanubhihi. Vyashema Devahitam. Yadayuhu. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. All right. Okay. So for a few classes, we shall be doing this. Okay, this call and response. And let me know if you want it in any other way. If you are finding it difficult to follow this way, then we can think some other method of learning this chanting. All right. So much for chanting. All right. Today's class is introduction. Introduction about Mandukya Upanishad. All right. So we are not today reading any of the verses or mantras of the Upanishad. Today is just a introduction, just an introduction. Okay, where should we start from? We should start from what we know, right? All right. So how many of you have heard about Ayurveda? Ayurveda. Okay. Most of you have heard the term Ayurveda. All right. Ayurveda is related to health, right? Do you know where Ayurveda comes from? Okay, and you can unmute and answer.
Atharva Veda.
Yes, yes, greatly. 80% of Ayurveda comes from Atharva Veda. Rest 20% are from other Vedas. Okay, so that is Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is different from other three Vedas: Rig, Sam, Yayu. In that, in those three Vedas, there is a rituals, hymns, and dealings with afterlife, a lot of afterlife or soul. But Atharva Veda is mostly concerned about life here on earth, how to cure illness, how to get rid of anxieties, how to conduct a marriage ceremony. What are the things to be done when somebody dies? These are all this worldly concern. This is how Atharva Veda is mostly concerned with. Hymns, chants, and rituals mostly about this life, this human daily problems of Vedic people, healing of illness, how to prolong life, how to remove anxieties, and also other ceremonies. Okay. Mandukya Upanishad that we are going to study is from Atharva Veda. So, although all the Vedas have some particular emphasis, towards the end of all the Vedas come some discussion on philosophy and spiritual matters. So, Atharva Veda, although most of the Atharva Veda is concerned about problems of day-to-day life, but Atharva Veda also had got Upanishads like Mandukya and Brihadaranyaka, such a huge Upanishad, which, if we read correctly, we'll find many of the ideas of the previous section of the Veda, Atharva Veda, gets not totally eliminated in the Upanishad. We see their marks also in the Upanishad, especially in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We find many such rituals and ceremonies are mentioned about briefly. Why briefly? Because it is taken for granted that one has read the entire Veda. Now, we will be just mentioning something that appeared in the previous part of the Veda, and now we are just discussing the philosophical part of that ritual. Okay, compared to that, Mandukya Upanishad is very bare minimum. Bare minimum. It does not contain any story, any dialogue, or mention of any other ritual. Okay. So, Mandukya Upanishad we are trying to read, which comes in Atharva Veda, and it is believed by the scholar that this Mandukya Upanishad was composed around 6th century BCE, before Christ. 6th century before Christ. And it derives its name from a seer, a rishi, whose name was Mandukya. Mandukya. Okay. Why Mandukya? Nobody knows. Because Mandukya is a word which might mean frog or a particular breed of horse. So probably that seer who this Upanishad is attributed to had those kind of horses, which was not uncommon in those time. Horse was the currency, cow was the currency. So the seer might have had that kind of horse, or who knows, the legend goes that seer used to carry a frog with him. Or a legend is that the seer got all these ideas from observing a frog, So we don't know actually. But there was a seer whose name was Mandukya. There are other also texts and verses, even an entire branch of Veda, which is called Mandukya branch. That is, this sage Mandukya was an influential person who was engaged in expounding or sharing with others what he might have discovered in his mystical states of experience. Okay, that is the origin of the name Mandukya Upanishad. All right, that is the context of the Upanishad. And this Upanishad is the shortest Upanishad with only 12 mantras. 12 mantras. We know that there are at least 108 Upanishads, which is mentioned in a later Upanishad called Muktika Upanishad, which enlists the names of the Upanishads. The Muktika Upanishad is really a guidebook about the Upanishads. So it was definitely composed much later on to give an idea or a blueprint of the Upanishads. Okay. In Muktika Upanishad, 108 Upanishads are mentioned. Among these 108 Upanishads, 10 Upanishads are called major Upanishad. Major Upanishad. Why they are called major Upanishads? I'm sure some of you know it.
Shankara wrote.
Yes. Right. Acharya Shankara chose these 10 Upanishads for their commentary, to write commentary upon. Among all those 108 or even more, Shankara chose these 10 Upanishads to comment. That raised the status of this Upanishad from Upanishad to major Upanishad. And there must be a reason why Shankaracharya chose these 10 Upanishads. So he chose those Upanishads which are definitely profound in their significance, profound in their spiritual significance, profound in their impact on our spiritual life. So from this very fact that Mandukya Upanishad, although having 12 mantras, Shankaracharya chose it to write a commentary upon that shows the importance of the Upanishad, that it is an important Upanishad. Not only Shankaracharya, but Shankaracharya's grand guru, that is Guru's Guru, Govindapada, no, sorry, Gaurapada. Shankaracharya's guru was Govindapada and his guru was Gaurapada. Gaurapada wrote a commentary on Mandukya Upanishad. So at least 100 years before Shankara. And it proves that Mandukya Upanishad has some special significance which led Gaudapada to write a commentary on the Upanishad itself. Right? Not only that, based upon this 12 mantra, he spun out a philosophy of non-dualism, which Shankaracharya further carried out in more details. So, those who love Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta, monistic Vedanta, for them, some Gaudapada's commentary is very important because there lies the blueprint of future Advaita Vedanta. Okay. Gaudapada wrote this commentary, interestingly, in verses, not in prose, in verses. That's why that commentary is called Karika. Karika. Otherwise, commentary in general in Sanskrit is called Bhashya. Bhashya. Okay. Bhashya means your commentary. Something happened and you are giving a commentary. That is Bhashya. But when a commentary is written in a form of verse, that is in meter or in very short verses, they are called Karika. Gaudapada wrote 215 Karikas on this small, tiny Upanishad of Mandukya. That means Mandukya contains some profound ideas which needed to be elaborated upon. That's why he wrote such a commentary on Mandukya. That shows the importance of Mandukya, right? So one importance of Mandukya is evident from the fact that although being such a tiny Upanishad, Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on it. Secondly, Shankaracharya's guru's guru wrote a commentary on it. And later on, Shankaracharya wrote commentary not only on the Upanishad, but he wrote a commentary also on the commentary that Gaudapada wrote. So Gaudapada's commentary is called Mandukya Karika. Karika. And Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on Mandukya Karika. That is how we can get some idea that why Mandukya is so important and profound. Third important point about Mandukya is in Muktika Upanishad, the Upanishad which I mentioned, it says, for a spiritual seeker, Mandukya Upanishad alone is enough. Mandukya ekam alam, mumukshanam vimuktaye. Mumukshanam means those who are seeking, spiritual seekers for their liberation. Mandukya ekam alone is alam. Alam means sufficient. If one Upanishad is needed for your liberation, for your spiritual emancipation, Mandukya alone is sufficient. If if Mandukya is not sufficient, then take up other Upanishad. That means to a prepared mind, to a sensitive mind, Mandukya alone can give the highest knowledge. Okay, so that is another important remark about Mandukya. It shows the importance of Mandukya. Then we know about Mahavakyas, right? Mahavakya. Maha means great. Vakya means sentence. So in the Upanishads, now and then we find some sentences which are kind of equation. Equation. Okay. These are like equation, and mostly they refer to the fact that our individual self is nothing less than the vast cosmic self. So these kind of statement, which are more like equation, and that too, a important point about equation is equations are not, we don't write equation on obvious things, right? We don't write 3 is equal to 3. We don't write that. We write, say, 5 minus 2 is equal to 9 minus 6. So equation, apparently two sides of the things are apparently looking different, but ultimately, essentially, they are same. So there are some sentences in the Upanishad which once in a while gives this kind of bombshell of a declaration. For example, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that vast reality. Okay. So Shankaracharya chose, among many such Mahavakyas, Shankaracharya chose 4 Mahavakyas, 4 from 4 Vedas, Rik, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. The Mahavakya he chose from Atharva Veda is from Mandukya Upanishad. I am Atma Brahma. This self is nothing other than Brahma or cosmic self. So a Upanishad, a small Upanishad, 12 mantras, it contains one of the Mahavakyas. That is also shows the importance of this Mandukya Upanishad. All right, so much about the importance of Mandukya Upanishad. What are the importance? One, that although a small, but Shankaracharya chose it to be a principal Upanishad. Then Gaudapada wrote a commentary on it. Then Muktika Upanishad says that for one's liberation, for one's emancipation, Mandukya alone is sufficient. And fourth, Mandukya contains one of the 4 great Vedic dictums, great sayings called Ayam Atma Brahma. That shows the importance of the text. Now, what is the subject matter of Mandukya? What is the subject matter of Mandukya? Mandukya, in the first mantra itself, it says, this is an exposition on Om. Om, the syllable, the mantra Om, this is an exposition on Om. According to Mandukya itself, that Mandukya Upanishad is an exposition on Om. What is so special about Om? that is dealt with in Mandukya, and which is also we find in other Upanishads also deal with Om. For example, Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad, there is a verse which says, Pranavo dhanuhu sharohi atma brahma tat lakshanam uchyate. Om. Pranava means Om. Another name of Om is Pranava. Om is the bow, and Atma, our individual self, is like the arrow, and the target is Brahman. Okay, so with the help of Om, the individual self can hit Brahman, cosmic self. Here, hitting means find its identity with Brahman. We find that kind of mantra in Mundaka Upanishad. In Katha Upanishad, we find Etat alambanam seshtham, etat alambanam padam. So alambanam means symbol. Etat means this symbol, Om. Om is a best symbol on Brahman, cosmic self. To meditate on Brahman, Om is a very good or one of the best symbols, representations of Brahman is Om. So also we find in Chandogya Upanishad and other places mention of Om. But nowhere else the Om has been dealt with in such detail as Mandukya does. Mandukya does deal with Omkara in such detail which we don't find in other Upanishads. What Mandukya does, Mandukya take up the word Om and reminds us that Om is actually combination of three sounds, A, U, and Ma. Om, Om. These three sounds, Mandukya Upanishad compares with three states of our consciousness. Three states of our consciousness. That is, our waking state, our dream state when we are dreaming, and deep sleep when we are not aware, when we are not even dreaming. Mandukya Upanishad compares these three sounds of Omkar with three sounds of the three states of our awareness. Three states of awareness. And the goal is to go beyond these three states and find the transcendental state of consciousness. Transcendental state of consciousness, which Mandukya says, Turiya. Turiya. Okay, the fourth. And the fourth is not only the another state, it is not another state per se, but this is what our consciousness purely is. On other times, our consciousness is mixed up with other realities. In waking state, our awareness or consciousness is mixed up with mind and also concerned with these things around us. When we are dreaming, consciousness is associated with still mind through which it is dreaming. In deep sleep, it is still associated with the subtle body, although it is not getting aware of anything, but it is, as it were, a mass of darkness has been presented before it, and consciousness is now only aware of this ignorance. Okay, but consciousness per se, as it is, purely, without mixed up with any other reality, is Turiya. So that pure consciousness is present in all the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep, but also transcends all of them. Mandukya says that the silence that comes after uttering the word Om, that silence is the indicator of that Turiya. So Mandukya, the A, U, Ma, these three sounds compare with our three known states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping, and the silence that comes after between each Om is Mandukya compares with the fourth state of our consciousness. Okay, this is the subject matter, profound subject matter of Mandukya. And the silence, according to Mandukya, the silence is the basis of the sound. This is very interesting. Without silence, the sounds won't make any sense. That is, according to Mandukya, which we shall see later on in details, according to Mandukya, silence is the substratum of the sound. Just as our transcendental state or pure conscious state is the substratum of all the other states. Okay, so something that is very interesting, we shall take up later on when the appropriate verse will come. Okay, so this is on the whole the subject matter of Mandukya. Some say that Mandukya is all about Omkara Upasana. Okay, that is of course valid, Omkara Upasana, how to take the help of Omkara, and with that, how to go beyond sound. That is, how to go to our transcendental state of our awareness. That may be said the chief goal of Mandukya. Now, as I mentioned, Mandukya Upanishad will be incomplete without some idea about Mandukya Karika. Mandukya Karika, right? So Mandukya Karika is 215 verses written by Gaudapada, right? And they are divided into four sections. Four sections. First section has 29 karikas, which are totally based on the Mandukya Upanishad itself. That's why name of this chapter is called Vedic Testimony, Agama Prakarana, a chapter or section that deals with scripture. Scripture means here Mandukya Upanishad itself. The first section of Gaudapada's Mandukya Karika is totally on the Mandukya Upanishad. But the rest three go beyond the Upanishad. Go beyond the Upanishad. They are kind of independent sections that are developed on the first section called Agama Prakarana. Agama means scripture. Okay, here it means the Upanishad. Agama Prakarana. Second chapter is of 38 karikas. It is these 38 karikas. What does that section? That section is called in English, illusion, illusory nature of the world. Vaitatha prakarana. Vaitatha means something which is false, illusory in nature. So in the second section, Gaudapada in 38 Karikas want to say to us that as things seen, experienced in dream appear to be illusory after waking up, so also this world, which is appearing to be so real in our waking state, ultimately is illusory. Ultimately is illusory in nature, which we shall see to some extent why he compares it to a dream. Then in the third section, which is of 48 karikas, named Advaita Prakarana, non-duality. Non-duality. After proving that this world is of illusory nature, then he puts forward the idea there is only one reality, that is spirit, Atma, Brahma, whatever name we try to give it, that is the only reality. And in that section, he introduced an idea which is called ultra-monism. Ultra-monism. Ultra non-dualism or ultra-monism. It is called Ajativada. That is, if there is only one reality called Brahman or Atma, then what about what we are seeing, looking? He says, these things were never created at all. Okay, there was never any creation. There was never any creation. There was no one ever in bondage. So there is no question of sadhana or spiritual practice because there is no question of getting liberated. Because in the first place, no one is in bondage because there was no creation at all. Okay, so that view is called Ajativada, that theory of non-creation. There was no creation at all. We shall see later on this radical view of non-creation, Ajativada. Finally, the most polemic, most argumentative, dialectic section, Alata Shanti Prakarana, which is consists of 100 karikas. Okay, Alata Shanti means quenching of the firebrand, which is taken from the example of Buddha, that if you take a rope and put you into fire and then move it fast, you will feel like a continuous light. But actually, it is not. It is moment to moment. The light is moving from place to place, but it is moving so fast that it appears to be a continuous straight line. So, Alata Shanti Prakarana, it is believed that in that section, he takes the name Alata Shanti so that he can quench all the possible arguments against this theory of non-creation that he propounded in the previous section. So in that section, he takes up philosophical, metaphysical discussion with other philosophical schools to prove his position. Okay, Alata Shanti Prakarana. And that is the largest of all the sections. It contains 100 karikas. So what we shall do, we shall not study the entire Mandukya Karika. Okay, we shall choose some selected part of the Karika which will help us to understand the Upanishad better. Okay, and some of the very celebrated Karikas, some of the very celebrated Karikas we might take up, which we may not be of interest too much, but for a taste of the Karika, we shall take up only a few of them, not all the Karikas. All right. So what our approach to Mandukya Upanishad will be? our approach will be, my personal take about Mandukya is, it is ultimately, no matter how much commentaries, explanation, classes are available on Mandukya, it is ultimately a mystical Upanishad, very mystical Upanishad. Okay. Some of the ideas that we shall find will not have any, so to say, logical explanation. And yes, we can take up the view of Acharya Shankara or Anandagiri's Tika or Gaudapada's Karika to trying to justify, but I find ultimately all of them become a circular logic to somehow convince us of something. Better, we should accept from the very beginning some of the utterances, some of the ideas we cannot understand logically. Okay, these are mystical things. Probably all of us have to find it out ourselves what these mystical statements mean. For example, to give an example, it is taken for granted that a u ma in that om, a represents the waking state. Okay, and a lot of arguments are given why awe is equal to waking state. But really it is so. Can we substitute all of the waking state, all the visible universe with one sound of awe? Awe, ma, awe. Of course, it reminds me of the English word awe, A-W-E. Indeed, that is awe. So I believe, that ultimately these are mystical, the utterances from mystical states of consciousness. So why I am telling this, the telling is, why I am telling this is that we shall approach this Upanishad with an open mind, very open mind. We'll try to understand the Upanishad as best as we can do. And that's why we shall call it explore. We shall explore together. Okay. And there will be many questions. In fact, there could be more questions answered than more questions remain unanswered. Okay. So there will be uncertainty in my class. Some of the questions I may not be able to answer. So if you are okay with that uncertainty, if you are okay with the fact that I don't know all the answers of the Upanishad, then you can sign up for this class. Okay. But if you want that definitive answer, a intellectual answer, a orderly answer that uh, neatly describes entire Upanishad, this class will frustrate you. Okay. So from the very beginning, I can tell you that if you are signing up for this Mandukya class of mine, there will be uncertainty and questions which answer I may not be able to answer. Okay. So that will be the approach for us to Mandukya Upanishad. Okay. So that's it for today. That's it for today. From tomorrow, from the next class, we shall take up the Upanishad proper. Some say one can leave frog to illumination with this Upanishad. Yeah. So, yeah. A is designated the waking state because A comes first. Is this correct? Yeah, that is what the Upanishad says. A is waking state because A is present in everything. Awe is present in everything, and awe comes first. And that is debatable. That is quite debatable that not in every language awe comes first, right? Not in every language awe comes first. There are languages where O does not come first. So we don't know, but we'll follow the logic of the Upanishad. Why O is with the compared with the waking state. Any other question about today's class or any other suggestion?
There was also mention of the three bodies in the introduction. Is that also related to the three states?
Three bodies.
Gross body, subtle body.
Oh yeah, yes. Right. We shall see that. Technical term. Vishwanado, Tejas, and Pragya. And if you remember that, when we studied Aparakshanubhuti, although it was not part of the text, but I dedicated 2 classes to these 3 states, Vishwanada, Pragya, and Vishwa. And you probably made a column, a table, right? That this state, what it is aware of, and what it represents, and the corresponding cosmic version. Remember that? Virat, Tejas, and Pragya, Ishwar. Yeah.
Maharaj, in Swami Nikhilananda's book, it is 250, Gaudapada's Karika, 250 verses.
I think that's a mistake. That's a mistake.
Okay, that's a
mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, because I went on and I counted all the karikas. It comes up to 215.
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maharaj, what was confusing was the Upanishad mantras are mixed with the Karika mantra. I do not know which is the Upanishad mantra, which is Karika, because I think first 6 mantras it takes and there is Karika. And then 6 more and then Karika. So, and then commentary, Shankara's commentary is there. So it's a little bit confusing there.
Yeah, sure. Undoubtedly. Yeah.
On that subject, the Upanishad mantras are in Roman numeral, and the Karikas are in Arabic numeral.
Oh. Roman and the other one is in numerical.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Yes, Rick. Rick, go ahead.
Yeah. So when Gaudapada writes his commentary, it follows his master. His master writes a commentary, and then he writes a commentary. Is he questioning his master's commentary? Is he expanding it? Is he changing the opinion? And when is there an opinion that all the rishis accept?
Yeah.
Or is it just an endless series of commentary?
Yeah, indeed. Good question. So Gaudapada wrote commentary on Mandukya, and Shankaracharya expounded them, okay, to make it understandable to us. Because Gaudapada's commentary, remember, are in the form of verse, and these are short ones. Okay, so they also needed to be unpacked. Shankaracharya unpacked them for us. So Shankaracharya did not refute Gaudapada's position, but he unpacked them for us. Okay, have you got your answer?
What about Gaudapada and his master?
So it is not known who was Gaudapada's master. Okay.
You mentioned him.
Mentioned him. No, Gaudapada was the teacher of Shankara. Okay, but we don't know who his teacher was. And there probably was teacher because it's a lineage, but his teacher did not do anything that which would make him known to us now.
And in between Gaudapada and Shankara was another guy.
Yes, Govindapada. Govindapada.
That did he refute or did he expand? What
No.
was?
No, he did not. He did not. Because he did not do any literary work. He lived most of his life in a cave. Okay? And Shankara went as a young boy to get teachings from him, get initiated by him. And he was impressed with Shankara. Shankara was, I think, 8 or 12-year-old when he went to Govindapada. And Govindapada was reluctant to teach anybody. But when he asked Shankara, this young 12-year-old boy, who are you? Shankara says, I am the Atma, not this body. So he is amused from the answer of this 12-year-old boy. And then he says, what do you want? So he says, I want the highest knowledge, which I have only have read in books. Now I want to experience them. So he lives with his guru, and after some time, Shankaracharya has direct knowledge of Brahman or the highest reality. Then his guru says, now go, and I think you will be a good one to propound this message. So his guru told him to at least write a commentary on Brahma Sutra. Okay, Brahma Sutra, another very pithy statements on Brahman. So his guru said, write a commentary on Brahma Sutra, which is very poorly understood. So Shankaracharya, after writing all his commentaries on the Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita and other few things, he at last wrote commentary on Brahma Sutra to honor his guru Govindapada. But Govindapada himself is, it is not known that he expounded any philosophy or wrote any philosophy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Maharaj, these teachings actually it comes from the rishis, the realized rishis who that was the Shruti. And it started, Gaudapada started writing, maybe he got it from directly from some rishi family or from some rishi. And I think after Shankaracharya, Anandagiri also carried it on.
Yes.
Carried it over, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Anandagiri commented on many of the Shankaracharya's works. Okay. To make Shankaracharya understandable, Anandagiri wrote gloss, not commentaries, gloss. Gloss in the sense that tika. That is, yes, word to word meaning. Word to word meaning.
Maharaj, who was Anandagiri? Was he disciple of Shankar?
No, Anandagiri came much later. Yeah. Anandagiri, I think 15th century, if I am correct. All right. That's much. That is about Mandukya. Okay. And while we are studying Mandukya, we shall do meditation on Om. Okay. Throughout the study of Mandukya, because Mandukya, based on Mandukya's Om, I like the meditation which I did a few times on repeating Om and later on slowly focusing on the silence between the Om. Okay, so that will be our meditation for entire time we shall be studying Mandukya.